Hi guys, welcome back. Today I'm excited to share with you how I crafted this beautiful pine wreath for my garage door using items that I found around the house and in my yard. I'm starting by repurposing this old wreath that I've had for over 10 years. I just keep adding more and more flowers to it. Every year it gets faded and more sparse. I think it's finally time to repurpose this into something completely different. So I'm starting by just using scissors and wire cutters. Because I've added to it over the years, there is a variety of different layers to get through to remove the existing florals. So I'm just starting by removing everything that's on the wreath form, and I want to get down to just that grapevine wreath. If you don't have an existing wreath form to work with, you can pick these up for next to nothing at craft stores, even big box stores like Walmart, Hobby Lobby carries them. You can also find really inexpensive wreaths to repurpose at Goodwill or thrift stores. You may even have family and friends that have something around that they want to get rid of. When I got down to the final layer, there were these pins holding on the last few flowers. So I did have to pull those out with my needle nose pliers. You'll just kind of have to work your way around the wreath and see how to best disassemble all the florals. I did this outside and I'm glad that I did. It ended up making quite a huge mess. So here I am just cleaning up what I have removed and getting ready to start with a fresh slate. So now that we're down to just the bare wreath form, we're ready to get started adding the pine. These are clippings that I just clipped from a pine tree. You can find this out in the woods, in your own yard. I'm using floral wire to attach the pine branches to the wreath form. And I'm using both pruning shears to cut the pine branches, as well as wire cutters and scissors to do my work with the wire. So you'll start by just choosing a sprig of pine and wrapping the wire around it. I didn't do anything particular to fasten this first piece to the wreath form besides using 5 or 6 lengths of wire to go around and make sure that it was really securely attached. You want to make sure that you start from a really secure point and you can just build from there. You'll leave the roll of wire attached, so you're going to be working off of this spool of wire that you see throughout the entire project. And you'll just go around the wreath adding sprigs of greenery and working your way around the entire wreath. At this point, I decided to add a second garden glove to my work as working with the pine was pretty scratchy. And yes, I do have on 2 different gloves. It is not a matching set. This is real life. I was also doing this project in my driveway around 5 o'clock in the evening, and you can see the light changes. It gets dark so quickly around here. You'll just continue to work your way around the wreath. I did trim some of the sprigs of greenery that I had to just fit a little bit better onto the wreath form. I also noticed that in the pine that I had, I did have a couple of different variations in color. So I did try and select sprigs of pine that sort of alternated and had a natural variance in the colors that I selected. So I didn't have all of one color in one area and then immediately transition to the next. You really just repeat this process of selecting and attaching each piece of greenery all the way around the wreath. wreath and got close to where I started adding the greenery, I did select smaller and smaller pieces of pine just so that I could blend the end and the beginning of the wreath seamlessly, and you really can't tell where it starts and ends. If you don't have pine trees in your own yard to clip from for this project, you can pick up pine clippings either free or at a pretty low cost from Christmas tree farms or even some of the big box stores like Walmart, Lowe's, and Home Depot have them available to purchase. Or last year I actually made connections with a gentleman at Home Depot who was trimming Christmas trees before he put them out for sale, and he gave me an entire trash bag full of pine clippings that I used to make my wreath last year. One of our state parks in the area actually also gives away pine clippings, and I've even gotten free firewood from them. When they do pruning and cleanup around the park, they sometimes make these resources available for free. I get emails about those things because I am on their email list, so that might be something to check out in your area as well, especially if you like to do crafts or projects with natural materials. That's been a good resource in the past. As I placed the final pieces of greenery, I did use some extra wraps of wire to just make sure that everything was very secure on the wreath form. As I finish up the wreath, I'm just tucking in some additional sprigs of pine to fill in any areas that might be sparse. I'll flip the wreath over on its top and trim the wire from the spool. I'll take the loose end of the wire and I just weave it back and forth within the wreath form like I'm sewing. I do this over and over again just to make sure the wire is securely attached and everything stays on the wreath. Here's the finished product. This was a totally zero cost project for me, using materials I already had around the house, and I'm left with a wreath that's about 30 inches wide. Thanks for watching.